A lot. They're gonna love you a lot.
Success! Pudding!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the man we've all been waiting for. And waiting for. That man is Marcus the Motivator.
G'day guys, Marcus the Motivator here. Today I am here with comedian, performer, Craig Millar. Craig, how are you?
Marcus, good to see you, mate.
You too.
Thank you very much.
Now, today we're going to have a little chat and probably share a few stories and whatnot about your comedy and whatnot. So let's get started. Where did it all start for you? Where did the comedy start for you?
Well, I always like being, that person, holding court and making the scene. And I did a bit of theatre as a young person. My mum took me to. She said, "Do you want to come and went to a theatre?" Snuck out one night with Dad was probably snoring drunk on the couch or something, and she said, "Come to the Eltham Little Theatre," and we went there, and I saw this production, and they were all singing and dancing and performing. I'm like, "Yeah, that was." She goes, "Would you like to do that?" Yeah. Next week, I'm in leotard and pantyhose as a Munchkin extra in The Wizard of Oz in the Eltham Little Theatre. It was very unbelievable, but still can't live those images down. It was just horrendous costume, big yellow ears, makeup worse than it. It was just, and I'm like, wow. So I did that, and then I went to sleep in high school because it was cool to not be into anything. Yep. I did some productions. I did Romeo and Juliet, and I got more laughs because in the tunic was too short. Yep. I just had the lunchbox. And so there was just, I was like a teenage boy and I was just all ribbon cock. So it was just, and I walk out. And one thing was the knife, I went too hard with the knife. I think winded one of the other guys. And then, because I was tibbled. And then I ended up passing out, dying on the wrong side of the curtain. And it was much hysterics. And I was like, okay, I know you're not believing this is a real love story because they're just in high school, but it was, so I was always a performer and I was always loud and gregarious. Yep. And so what I decided to do was, I went to a thing to learn comedy writing, to be honest. That's what started with it. Yep. And I went to Pete Croft's University. Pete Croft, the great man who gave a lot of comedians a start, but didn't always get the recognition. I don't know if you know Pete Croft at all. He's a unique individual, and very talented, eccentric. But so I went there and learnt comedy writing, and he said, "Mate, why don't you perform?" And I said, "Well, in the back of your mind, you always think you can do it, but you're waiting for someone to." It's like when you're picking up a girl when you're 16. You really want to kiss her, but you're really waiting for her to go, "Would you just come over here and kiss me?" Because you're not going to walk up and do it in case you fuck it up, which is just like stand-up too. So I did that, and Lawrence Mooney was the MC at my first gig at the Brighton Hotel, and I did 5 minutes, and it went well. And I kept going from there. But I was in a very driven state, and I was probably unprepared for being a comedian because I was working and I had a partner and I wasn't hanging out in the clubs all night. Yep. So that's what made it start, was being a performer and then getting into it. I know.
So you kind of just started out just performing, being yourself. When did you kind of realise you were going to take it maybe a little bit more seriously and kind of start doing more performances? I
was at the Comics Lounge in North Melbourne, which is just the home of comedy in Melbourne, and the boys are awesome down there. And I started performing and going to every place I could, and I started getting laughs and progressing through, and I really enjoyed it. Yep. And then Comedy Festival came, and I went too hard too early. I ended up getting a page 3 article with the title, "Look Out, Step Aside Dave Hughes, Meet Craig Millar," when I hadn't even done a festival. So I was basically shit canned from there. It was like the Cuba Gooding Jr., you know what I mean? Like you get a movie, get an Oscar, and you can't work again. So I just kept going with it, but it was a part-time thing. I couldn't, commit fully to it. So just kept going, and then got paid, and away you go.
So how does it feel like that you're getting paid to do something effectively you just enjoy doing?
Performing stand-up is probably one of the best things you can do when it works, all right? And for anyone thinking about stand-up and having it die, that'll happen too, all right? Guaranteed, all right? Everyone dies, but the feeling between killing on stage and dying on stage is phenomenally different, but it's being paid to get into people's heads and hold them and translate your ideas is just one of the best feelings you can have, and it's addictive. It's better than drugs, like seriously. And I mean, I've done drugs, and is this G rated? No,
there's no rating with this, to be honest.
No, what I'm saying is that I'm no Boy Scout, but the feeling and the elation of sending an idea out into 400 people in a room and having your thoughts in their head within 30 seconds and holding them is just amazing. Like seriously, it's just, I'd do gigs and then I wouldn't be able to sleep and I'd just be pumped because it's just so good. So yeah, it's probably one of the most enjoyable things you can do besides being paid to play golf. I imagine would be a close second for me.
Well, I think we talked a bit before that golf's a little bit of passion of yours. Do you make a bit of a joke of playing sometimes, especially when
I do the stupid ones though. Like people go, "What do you play off?" You know, and this guy's going, "Oh, I'm off 7." I'm like, "I'm off grass, mainly sand, sometimes rocks." You know, and I do shit like that on the golf course because stand up and holding court and being, that guy is two different things again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just popping comments to people or, pointing out the obvious that those pants are so bright I need sunglasses is very funny because the other guys just think you're laying shit on him.
Yeah.
But so I do it. I've done comedy for charity at golf courses. For Beyond Blue, mate, Jason Charles does some great work down at Heidelberg.
Yep.
Does a yearly thing down there, and we had he rolled out some old guy who came second in the Victorian or the Masters in Australia like in 1984, and he's up there talking about Greg Norman and stuff, and I'm like, fuck, when I got up I was like, Greg Norman, I go, the audience had to Google who he was, mate. Like, so golf's great because it's one of those things like comedy where you put so much energy and passion into what you're doing, and you only get one shot at it. Yeah. You can fuck it up, and everyone's watching too, and it's the same feeling, I imagine, watching the celebrities of golf, fuck, and because that's why it's called whack fuck. Do you know what I mean? Because when I say I play golf, it's not like I do a lot of this sort of, you know what I mean? Like, and so I think there's a lot of similarities there.
Have there been, besides when you were starting out performing, were there any nerves and stuff to start with for you?
There was excitement, like nerves is one thing, and to people like, and like yourself, we're sitting here, right? We're talking, we're chatting. Now, you're out there in TV land, hopefully watching. I mean, you may be wearing pants, you may be not, okay. But when you're nervous, you can't articulate. And so with comedy, it's not necessarily the nerves, it's the excitement. Yep. So I used to get out there and I'd say, hi everyone, this is Craig Millar. Oh, you didn't fucking like that joke? Because I was so energized, I couldn't slow down to deliver the gags. Yeah. So that's where it was just excitement of being out there.
So it was just a case more of the way you were trying to deliver what you wanted to perform. It was just almost maybe a little bit too much that you kind of had to.
It's like dyslexia.
It's a different way to look at it.
Yeah, well, it's a marginalised mental illness. People forget it, mainly how to spell it, but it's an arsehole thing, dyslexia. They make a word with an X and a Y in it for people that are struggling with the combination of letters. Why not just put a hyphen as well, some umlaut? Put an umlaut in there, that'll fuck with you. Yeah. So for me, that's
So how from doing your first gig and whatnot, to talk about some of the experience you've had performing and traveling and whatnot, and where you've done a few shows, and what was it like traveling around doing those performances?
It was awesome. I loved going on the road. I got a chance to work with Sandy Gutman, who's ostentatious, a great man who has been around for many years and took me on his wing early on for a few years, and we toured Western Australia, Sydney, 2 comedy festival shows, and it was really good to work with a professional performer who is marginalised at times in the market, and you know, people are like, oh, ostentatious, you know, but he gave a lot of guys a lot of time, like Paul Fennick from Housos and all that, so it was great to be on the road. I got bored with the in-between though. That's the thing I found struggling with. So I've done cool gigs. I've done gigs in, you know, pubs at the back of nowhere, in mining camps. We flew us out on a jet, you know what I mean? And you kill, and because they're so desperate for entertainment, you know what I mean? You don't have to do the best gear because they're up for it. Yeah. And then you get blind drunk with them, you know, and I'm sober now, but back then I used to drink heaps, and that was the best part, was you do the gags and then everyone loves you and they're like, do you want to buy a drink? And I'm like, yes please. But then you get really rude, you get off stage and you walk up to people and go, can you buy me a drink? I was just on stage. And so travelling was great. Performing in casinos and things like that is really good, but the best performances are still in the clubs. You know what I mean? So
is it performing in the clubs, is it more because, do you think it's more interactive?
I think because they've come there for stand-up. I've done a gig in an office. I left a company to be a comedian. I told everyone, I'm going to quit, I'm going to be a comedian. And then they brought me back about 6 months later to do a send-off for one of the sales managers who was quite fond and thought it was good for me to have a crack at being a comedian. And they got me in there without telling anyone in the cafeteria on a Friday afternoon at 5:15 and just said, Craig used to work here and now he's a comedian. And I sucked balls. Seriously, it was just horrendous. And I remember sculling a VB in the corner and everyone else was going, was that a public service announcement or was that stand-up comedy? And it was incredibly harrowing to go back to a company you left the job in and said, fuck all you people, I'm going to be a comedian, and then come back and just suck ass. So it was, that was very hard.
When you were traveling on the road, who was it with again?
Ostentatious.
Ostentatious.
Yeah.
Did you? How much did you learn from traveling with those?
I learned a lot from him on the road about the business of booking and being a comedian and being an artist on the road. With other guys, I learned a lot about being a comedian on the road. Dougie Chappell and Brady Blake. Just recently we did the See You in NT tour of Darwin, and the shows were great, just the audience was low, you know, marketing, advertising, time of year, whatever it was, but they were awesome shows. And being on the road with club comedians was really cool. Once you got past the gossip and the shop talk, you know what I mean? So that's always, in any industry, you get the shop talk that goes on. But traveling with comedians and being with other comics makes you a better comedian, which is why often they just go to the clubs and hang out, because it's the vibe, it's the thing.
Do you think it's, if as comedians you're kind of spending time together, you're bouncing things off each other, so that kind of helps you then in, maybe you perform tonight and someone who you're traveling and hanging out with, they give you maybe a suggestion or something that you could maybe slightly tweak doing something a certain way, and then you perform it in slightly a different way the next night and it comes off complete. Do you think just being around those people helps you?
Oh, 100%. Once you get past the my dick's bigger than your comedy night, because on opening night you both all just go, you watch me, mate, I'm going to kill this, all right? Once you get past that with other comics, you know, and actually find out that you're both funny and you know that sort of shit, yeah, you do. And you find guys will come up, and when they're comfortable with you, they go, hey man, or even if they're not comfortable with you, like me, because I just say what's coming out of my head. I go, man, that first bit sucked, and you know, you'll make it one day, Hughesy. Just kidding. No, I said, like I'd say to Dave when I used to host a lot for him when I was coming through the ranks. I got to MC with Dave a few times, and other great comedians in Melbourne, and Jamellan and Limo and Lawrence Mooney and all these guys. After I knew him for a while, I go, man, that bit you did, you can do that better. but you got to be comfortable with people that are more successful than you telling them how to do their job. And with comedy, it comes down to the fact of being, I guess, personal enough to say, man, that's a great bit.
Yeah.
But that bit at the end was wrong. Some comedians don't like it though. But I come from the building industry, and you don't generally hold back in the construction industry. If something's wrong,
you better fix it.
You better fix it.
It better be. You got to pretty much straighten it out.
Yeah, or if you're a dickhead, you'll be told you're a dickhead. So, and when in comedy, there are dickheads. I'm one of them. No. Look, I couldn't give a fuck at the moment. I've been on the circuit for 15 years. I can hold my own with anyone. Watch my show on YouTube if you like. But I don't necessarily have to prove anything anymore. I got close to, being that golden ticket that I call it. So, got some development with Channel 9 and Triple M and Top Gear Australia and all that sort of stuff, which you can check out on my YouTube as well, and still plugging away. But I don't care anymore. Yeah. Like I used to really care. Oh, there's that agent over there, and you try and it was just you can feel you're either popular, and people want you, or they don't. Yeah. All right. And if you go through your whole life, and if you're thinking of doing comedy and you're doing it because you want people to like you, it's going to be a miserable experience, all right? A lot of comedy, besides the moment you're on stage doing it, it's pretty boring, like porn, okay? Unless there's other people around having sex also, you're just playing with yourself.
It's an interesting way to put it. But it sometimes.
Comedy's awesome. Comedy is awesome. Yeah. Speaking the truth about what is around us and having other people go, yeah, that's right. Yep. Now, whether it's viewed as racist, bigotry, homophobic, whatever it is, so fucking what? The media make everything so sanitized, you can almost say nothing without being offended. And that's one of the reasons I don't think I made it as much, is because I don't hold back. You know what I mean? I slag off on religious people. I slag off on different ethnic groups. Because I'm part of an ethnic group. I'm part of white people. We're the most boring motherfuckers in the world. The immigrants took all our jokes. They did. The immigrants come in and they took all our jokes, and now all we've got to talk about is us. Hey, mate, I took the bins out. So... It's not much. It's not much, It's not mate. Much. Oh, my missus left me. Yeah, that's the third one. And you look at that era... My era, I'm a 6-foot Australian male, I'm white, I've got a goatee, I look like a freaking bikie, I've been told this, and people go, well, Dave Grant, he summed it up. He said, if I was a one-armed lesbian Muslim midget, I'd have my own TV show. Yep. And that's fucking true, because the media don't want they're diluting a little bit now, but still, if you look on TV, and it might be cynicism, I couldn't give a fuck. It's the same 10 dickheads on every other show in Melbourne. Every time there's a comedy show, it's the same 10 dickheads. Not that they're dickheads, they're great, talented comedians, and I love you all. I've worked with you, okay? But if you look at it, have you been paying attention? If you're not with token artists, or you're not with one of the other big agencies, you're nothing. And that's the comedy festival's on. There's how many shows in the comedy festival besides this great man show, which will be hilarious and entertaining? Thank you. Besides your show, there's probably 900 other shows. Yes, there's plenty. 95% of them will be shithouse, okay? Because they don't work the circuit in Melbourne. They're not out there doing jokes every week or trying in pubs or clubs or whatever. Yeah. And they all flock into town. Unless you're in with the comedy festival people, you get nothing. You get the shit rooms, all right? You try getting a comedy festival show in Bacchus Marsh, all right? You try getting a room, because that's how far you got to go to get a decent room. Yeah. So I've had my rant and rave about the scene, but yeah, that's where it comes to. Is that it's a very emotional experience.
How much have you enjoyed the experience over the 15 years?
I've loved it. Yeah. Even when it's been crap, and you're not writing and you're not getting new ideas and you're trying to push yourself too hard, you're still doing stand-up. When I've been a builder for many years, and I was working in Tier 1 construction, which is the big project. I was building a huge building with Leighton in the city. And I used to, every year for my business, take all the executives of the building companies to the Christmas show that I would do at the Comics Lounge and take like 20 or 30 of the executives of these, instead of a golf day or a lunch or something, I'd put posters up at the sites. Mate, that gave me more kudos than anything.
Yeah.
And people still see me now, and they don't ask, oh, how's work and how's the family? They go, are you still doing stand-up? Stand-up's fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's what's so good about it.
Why do you think you get those reactions from people? When from those who you see and that keep asking you, are you still doing it? Why do you think they think it's so cool?
Because it's far more interesting than going, oh, so are you still working in accounts department at NRMA Insurance? How's that spreadsheet going for you, fucker? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that shit's boring. Like, speaking the truth, you know, it's like that I mean, obviously you're a performer, but the coolest thing about stand-up and why people love it more than anything is because you're funny, all right? And there's no safety net. That's the thing. Like, we're editing here, and he'll cut out all the things that they don't want to hear or don't want to say. What are you doing? Don't stop. Take your hand off that button.
I think when we actually look at this back, we might actually just play the whole thing.
Why not? I've just let it slide.
Just think it'd be more. I'll watch this back and go, yep. Now, when you're doing your work, what's it like knowing that, well, there's no safety net? There's no...
It's the best. It keeps you, you know, moving. It's like when you're doing something high risk, you know, your focus and energy's on it. You know, it's not like when you're doing something wrong. You know, when you're a kid and you were trying to sneak something from the pantry.
Yeah.
Remember there was a lolly on the top shelf and you got one of your little brothers to lean on and you were up there and you were so focused because you were doing something that was for you and it was a little bit naughty and it was exciting. That's what stand-up's like. And like even now talking about it makes the hairs in the back of my neck stand up and it's one of the purest things. And that's why it's so revered or looked upon as you know, he's the comedian. It doesn't matter what, you're doing something most people can't do. What's the second biggest fear in life is public speaking.
Something like that. It's like death and then
public speaking.
Yeah,
I'd rather be dead than have to. Death's number 2, public speaking's number 1 or some shit.
It's one of those two,
Anyway, when you're doing something and that other people are shit scared of, and you're not only doing it, you're promoting yourself. Yeah. That's why I think stand-up has such gravitas, and why when you're a really good comedian, you can become a really good anything. So you can be a really good comedian, you can be a really good TV presenter, or you can be a really good actor, or at least a bit part actor, or whatever it is, because you just take things on and you just let them out, or because you're on stage and you're performing an impersonation or a character or something like that, that you can then just channel something so much quicker than, you know, like actors are there going, what's my motivation? You're in a 7-Eleven, you're having a Slurpee. Okay, cut. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas a comedian does something unique with the Slurpee or holds it on his crutch and goes, get a bit of that. So, you know what I'm saying? So that's why comedy is, because comedy twists reality around. And look at the popularity of all the comedy on Netflix and what's the other one, Stan and all those sorts of things. Yeah. People will watch that shit because comedy makes you feel good. Yeah. People watch drama too because they're fucking idiots. but oh, look, Married at First Sight. Like, if you want to watch me and my missus fucking argue, come over. I can put some drinks out. You can pay a small fee. You can watch us argue over the fact that I don't get laid and that she hasn't fucking taken the dishes out. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing with your lives? Oh my God. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, if Married at First Sight, okay, had everyone get married, hold hands and live happily ever after, it would be a complete fucking failure, okay? They are going to make as much bullshit drama and you're all addicted to it. It's like McDonald's. Yeah. You know, oh, we don't eat McDonald's. Yes, you fucking do. No. Do you know? Yeah. Everyone wants that, like, oh, what's going on? That's it. What's going on kind of thing. Yeah. Like, why? Yeah. It's like journalists. I call journalists, to me, are high school gossips with an arts degree. Do you remember that dickhead at school that ran around bothering everyone else's business? Did you hear about Simon? He got his locker broken into. And did you hear about Sally? She got caught with this. Mind your own fucking business. So, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whereas a comedian,
yeah.
you don't mind a comedian talking about you because it's entertaining.
Yeah,
It's
and it's just you're going to hear it in a way that's funny, entertaining, that's just straight up. And,
That's right.
And instead of having it manipulated in a certain way, it's just going to be, well, there it is, and that's pretty much it. Now, how much of your comedy work and performing do you think has helped translate you into other areas of what you've done?
in business a lot
Yep.
because I can, if I walk into a boardroom and I'm doing $1 million deal, which I've done before, and I've got, 10 or 12 people at a table there and big executives and, I just smash them, like literally, nice hair, mate, and he's bald.
Yeah.
And they're all laughing at him,
Yeah.
done. You know what I mean? And, find something else. And that holding court, like in that way,
Yeah.
it's different at a barbecue. You yourself, you're a performer, you're a comedian,
Yeah.
you're an interviewer. You go to a barbecue, everyone's like, Marcus is here, ladies and gentlemen, get him a beer. Let's see what you have to say. And that has translated into me being more me.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Be you. Don't be someone else. And that's with comedy. I tried to be someone else when I first started because I used to go wearing a shirt and tie, not a shirt and tie, but office businessy gear
Yeah.
because that's what I was in. Whereas now I just go. And
How much better do you think it is going from when you started, when you were trying to be someone else, to where you are now, where you're doing your own thing? How
many times do you say what I knew now, wish then, whatever, George Bush? Basically it's more empowering to be relaxed and
Yep.
enjoy it and just do it because you love it. Trying to do it with a burden on your shoulder of I must be successful and I need a radio gig and I need this and I need that. That was deflating and it probably made large parts of it not as enjoyable. But yeah, you certainly find a way to connect with who you are. And on a metaphysical thing, that's massive.
Yep.
And see, I was drunk for many years performing, and always had to have alcohol, before shows, and during shows and after shows. And I've been sober for 14 months and I wished I'd got sober back then.
Yep.
Because you don't need alcohol to be a comedian. You don't need any substance to be a comedian. You just need to be funny.
And do you think it's just you need to be yourself and just do
Yeah.
things your own way?
Yeah.
So how much of that comes down to just having the confidence to believe in what you do?
Well, see, confidence and belief in yourself's massive, and especially in the day and age where we as a society, and this is not comedy, this is probably more elevated thought process, but in a society where more and more people are waking up and media in this format and with online and Twitter and other things, you can get ideas out, good and bad, so much better. But as a society, we're waking up and that we are having two sides. One where we're told to be more confident, more self-assured and think for yourself and have a go. But you know who doesn't want you to have a go and think for yourself? The government, because it will all break down for them. They still need people to just want to get up, go to work and watch Married at First Sight and maybe have a holiday. So the system, so when you say about being confident, there's more people doing comedy now.
Yeah.
There's heaps of people doing comedy. Some of them shouldn't be doing comedy, but some of them should.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter if you're half funny, full funny, just having a go. That's fantastic. But it's showing that more and more people are waking up to being confident and being prepared to say what's on their minds and get it out there.
Yep. Now, with getting back to more the comedy stuff, now when you were touring around and doing shows and whatnot, whether it was by yourself or with other comedians, how did you go about, say, promoting what you're doing, whether it was locally or interstate or elsewhere? How did you go about promoting what you were doing so that?
Well, cold calling and just approaching people and being upfront. I mean, you can just, I think if you watch Jerry Seinfeld's show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, there's a great interview with, who's the guy that does the Donald Trump on SNL? What's his name? Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
And he's interviewing him and he says, and all these comedians are in their apartments, not promoting themselves, going, they'll find me. no one will find you.
Yeah.
You got to put yourself out there. So you got to go and do the crap like hand the flyers and bug friends when I started, YouTube didn't even exist.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we were still, walking to school in the rain. So
that does still happen. That did happen for those out there who
we just
don't know what it was like.
Don't know what back in my day.
Yeah.
Can you edit the grey out of my beard? Stop. So basically, it's like that. It's like that.
Do you think with like all the social media and stuff now, like you've got your YouTube stuff, and do you think that's kind of helped and made things easier with promoting?
It's made it easier for people to see more of you. It's also made it harder to be fresh and new at the same time. If you've got something funny to say, you'll get laughs, and that's why you do comedy. If you're trying to promote a different avenue of comedy, like, I don't know, let's say for instance pranks, the Janoskians or whoever they are. If some fuckhead ran up in the street with a knife dressed as a clown, I'd punch him in the fucking face. And I don't think that would be on YouTube funny. Like, they were running around pretending to be terrorists. You know what I mean? I own a shotgun. You come to my house and do that shit, I will shoot you. So that's sort of like, we're laughing about it now.
Yeah, I know, but
But imagine a YouTube clip where they go, "Hey, we tried to prank a guy," and then I'm in handcuffs going, "Well, the fuckhead jumped out the bushes just like Osama bin Laden." So self-promotion and YouTube and Twitter and all those things are great, but it also is like noise.
Yep.
It's like when religion started, there was like 1 or 2 religions, and now there's like 400, and it's like, amen. You know what I mean? Like so it's the same thing. It's lost in the noise, and that's why you need to try and be pure. And so socials are great, but at the same time, we can't all be having drinks on the promenade being famous.
At the same time.
Have you been backstage at a comedy club recently? Have you,
not any time recently, no.
No, well, if you go there, it's not exactly just, hookers and cocaine. You know what I mean? It's like there's a guy sipping a water, this dude's in the corner nervously writing other people's jokes, and you know what I mean? Like
So it's pretty much a bit more real than what everyone else thinks it pretty much is.
Of course it is. Everyone's back there, and sure, this guy's here and this guy's here, but it's all fucking egos, and have you been an extra?
Not in anything, no.
You've never done movie, TV extras and auditioned for something, hopefully to get a...
No, I haven't, no.
So I did Stingers, and I got an episode in Stingers back when I had hair, and I was... all right, seriously, I looked... But I wasn't this person.
Yeah.
I looked really good, but I didn't have this inner strength that I do now to just not care.
You didn't have the character of who you were.
I didn't have the character of who I was now. So when I auditioned, I went for a small part, and I got a bit part, and I got a speaking role, and all this sort of stuff, but I got cut. Because they fucked the script up, and basically I couldn't be in the scene because it didn't make sense, Anyway, what I'm getting at is in the room with all the extras, which is, if you don't know, an extra is the people that move in the background. They're like props but don't talk in anything. So in the extras, and all of them were just going, so I'm working on this and I'm working on that, and next week I'm auditioning for this, and sometimes you just go, I can't listen to this fucking bullshit. You know? So it is. And that's the same, everyone's, I'm writing for Rove, or I'm on this and I'm on that, and then you watch them sometimes do a comedy set and you're going, that's not that fucking funny. Yeah. But then you'll have producers and people come up to them afterwards and go, that was so cool, that was so insightful, I love what you did there, I love what you did there. And you're backstage going, hang on a minute, I just fucking killed. Yeah. But you're not what someone's looking for. Yeah. And what I realised is that I needed to do comedy because I wanted to do it and make people laugh and be funny. Yeah. Because if you can't sell and you're trying to do it to get a Netflix special, all that sort of shit, it's not really going to show like in your performances if you're doing it for not for the right reasons. That's right, and that's what I found when I look back at some of my earlier stuff. I was just really trying too hard. Yeah. But you have to do that to get stagecraft, and you have to do that to perform. And the other thing is you have to just perform all the time. Like, you have to go to clubs that you have to work for free. You've got to go and do, you know, any gig you can. You know, don't worry about the money. Get a job. You know, being a comedian doing nothing and going, oh yeah, but you know, I'm bumming on a couch for years and one day I'll be famous and I'll pay you back. Well, fucking good luck if that happens. But I worked all the time, so I'd be at the clubs till 11, and I was lucky enough to be in residency at the Comics Lounge for 2 years with Doug Chappell on Monday nights, and we do a live show and have YouTube clips and phone pranks and segments and all that sort of thing. But I'd be finished at 11. I get home, it'd take me an hour to get to my house from the city, and I get home 12:30. I'm still, you know what I mean, running.
But you're just buzzing and on a high from what you were doing.
And then I got to wake up and be on site and run a company, and I had like, you know, 20 staff.
Yeah.
And I was running a building business, and I was like, I just almost made my brain explode.
Yeah.
Jim Owen said it to me once really nicely, and I'm not dropping names. He actually said it to me, all right? Put your pants back on, you at home. So, no, he said to me, he goes, because he was a surveyor. So you know what surveyors do? Yeah, measuring up. So he was a surveyor when he came out from Ireland. He goes, I couldn't do it now. Comedy's a different part of your brain.
Yeah.
I can't even do that. So I sometimes found that a struggle too. Just trying to be in that comedy mind where you've got all day to sleep in and think about a joke and think about a joke and write a joke and write a joke and think about a joke, and then go out and do it.
Yeah.
And then have a rest tomorrow and think about how the gig went. Whereas I found myself, I was trying to work, have a family, race to a comedy lounge, race to the club, do a gig, and then, oh fuck, I didn't put enough preparation in. So you've got to be a comedian. And if you're not a comedian, you're just doing it like a hobby, which is pretty much where I find myself now.
Do you think because now the character of who you are and where you've got to, do you think you're just enjoying it much more just for just the purity of what you're doing?
100%.
And do you think because of that, like how you perform and what you end up doing, what you end up putting out there as a performance, do you think that's just becomes much better for what you're doing?
Yes, and I'm looking forward to going back to the circuit in Melbourne later this year. For that reason, is because I'm in a much better space.
Yep.
And like the longest I've gone with that comedy is 12 months. Literally no stand-up, and then had to do 20 minutes in front of 400 people.
Yep.
And I did it, but it was like, you know, 16-year-old fumbling for a bra the first time. I just couldn't get, you know, but it was like driving a car, you know, you're first and third and you crunch the gears, you're moving, but you're not Mario Andretti, and then you keep going. So I'm looking forward to going back because I'm looking forward to performing, being that purity, and just going, I just want to do this for this. Yeah. And then, look, hey, if something happens, if someone says, oh, be part of this, or would you like to write for that, or, grouse, but I can't focus on that anymore.
Yeah,
like I've been on the circuit for 15 years. Yeah,
you're not going to worry about everything else. You're just going to enjoy doing it for what it is. Now, what have you got? What are you going to do? You got anything coming up?
I'm just looking at doing hopefully some tour up in Brisbane. Get to the Sit Down Comedy Club at some stage there later this year, which will be great to be back. It's been a long time since I've been there.
Yep.
And maybe try and do one of the cruises out on the boats where you perform out there and do a bit of that as well.
Yep.
Go back to the circuit and just be in the clubs, like, you know, those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday free entry things in, you know, or what have they got in Melbourne? I don't even know where all of them are.
There's Comics Lounge, and I'm trying to think of others.
But like not the Comics Lounge, I obviously go there, but like those small venues like the Belgian Beer Garden and all those other,
all those small places.
Crab Lab and all of those sort of venues, and just be doing comedy.
Yep.
Because I want to perform.
Now, if anyone wants to see your material or get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that? themillarcraig.com. It's all there, ladies and gentlemen. There's some YouTube clips. There's a bit of a bio about me. Probably not as extensive as this interview, but there's certainly some things in there for everyone. And that's my website. You can book my interest or book me for if you'd like an MC for something special. And there's an agent contact there if you've got a television opportunity or something you're interested in selling. Obviously. I'm pitching myself now as, obviously I'm a comedian, and if I go back to the circuit, because I'm a builder and I'm studying engineering,
that's where I'm headed for. So obviously, you know, go back to the, you know, doing the hosting the footy clubs and getting into that and pitching. Hopefully, you know, I could do some home renovation shows. Obviously, producers of the block, fucking Scotty's had his time. All right, how many times, you know, he's gone like this? All right, it's time for change. Stop. Thank you.
Craig, thank you very much for coming in. It's been wonderful.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Craig.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.